Have you ever wondered how the battlefield morphed into a muddy maze during World War I? Let's delve into it. In the early days of the Great War, as 1914 was drawing to a close, a new kind of warfare was born on the Western Front. This was not the romanticised open-field combat of yesteryears. This was trench warfare, a deadly chess game played out in an intricate network of ditches dug into the earth, stretching from the English Channel all the way to the Swiss frontier. As the armies of Germany and the Allies found themselves locked in a stalemate, they began to dig and dig and dig. They carved out a subterranean existence, creating a labyrinthine system of trenches that would become their homes, their battlefields, their graveyards. These trenches were no mere holes in the ground. They were complex structures, often with multiple levels. There were firing trenches, where soldiers would stand to shoot, communication trenches for the delivery of orders and supplies, and support trenches where soldiers could rest and recover. Imagine living in these trenches. The air is thick with the stench of mud, sweat, and death. The ground beneath your feet is a quagmire, churned up by the constant tread of boots and the impact of artillery shells. Overhead, the sky is a sliver of grey, framed by the jagged edges of the trench walls. Life in the trenches was a test of endurance. The threat of enemy fire was ever present, the conditions were harsh, and the food was scarce. Rats and lice were constant companions, and diseases like trench foot and trench fever were rampant. But amidst the hardship and the horror, there were moments of humanity. Soldiers would share stories, sing songs, and even play games to keep their spirits up. They formed bonds of camaraderie that would last a lifetime. A battleground like no other, trenches were the grim reality of a war that was far from the romantic notions some soldiers had enlisted with. They were a stark reminder of the brutal and unforgiving nature of war, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable hardship. Behind every battle, behind every statistic, there were real men. Let's hear their stories. In the grim theatre of war, several battles stand out for their sheer ferocity and scale. The Battle of the Marne and the Battle of Ypres are two such chapters in the annals of World War I. The Battle of the Marne, fought in early September 1914, was a desperate attempt by the Allies to halt the German advance. For 6 brutal days, the French and British forces pushed back against the German onslaught, resulting in a stalemate that set the stage for trench warfare. The cost was high, over 200,000 casualties, a testament to the horrors of battle. Then came the Battle of Ypres, a series of engagements that stretched from late 1914 to 1918. The first battle in this series was particularly brutal, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The once beautiful medieval city of Ypres was reduced to rubble, its inhabitants bearing the brunt of war's cruel hand. But numbers and dates only tell part of the story. Behind these battles were men, soldiers who faced the unimaginable every day. They were not just fighting an enemy, they were fighting fear, fatigue, and the constant spectre of death. Consider the story of Private John Smith, a 20-year-old from a small English town. He had never left his hometown before the war. Yet there he was, in the mud-filled trenches of Ypres, a world away from the green pastures of home. His letters speak of the relentless shelling, the cold, the constant fear, but they also speak of camaraderie, of shared struggles, and of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Or take the account of Lieutenant Jean Dupont, a French officer at the Marne. His diary entries depict the grueling reality of the battle, the sleepless nights, the desperate charges, the loss of friends. Yet he too found moments of humanity amid the chaos, moments that kept him going. These were not just battles, they were struggles for survival. For every name in the history books, there were thousands whose stories remain untold, stories of courage and sacrifice in the face of unimaginable horrors. The war also saw the introduction of new weapons, changing the face of battle forever. The trenches, already a living nightmare, became even more treacherous with the advent of technological advancements in warfare. The first of these was the gas attack. Developed to break the stalemate of trench warfare, it was a weapon of insidious nature. Silent, invisible, and deadly, gas attacks were a psychological and physical terror. The first large-scale use of these lethal gases was at the Second Battle of Ypres in April 1915. The sight of comrades suffocating, gasping for breath, would forever haunt the survivors. On the heels of gas attacks came another technological terror, the flamethrower. This weapon, which projected a long, controllable stream of fire, was first used by the German forces on the Western Front. The flamethrower brought a new level of horror to the battlefield, turning trenches into fiery death traps. Then there was the relentless pounding of artillery. Artillery had always been a part of warfare, but during World War I, its use escalated dramatically. The introduction of quick-firing field guns, howitzers, and gigantic railway guns meant that the soldiers in the trenches were under constant bombardment. The noise was deafening, the destruction complete. But perhaps the most significant technological advancement was not a weapon, but a means of communication: the field telephone. It allowed for better coordination between infantry and artillery, making the attacks more efficient. However, it also meant that orders could be given to advance, irrespective of the conditions in the trenches. These advancements, while increasing the efficiency of warfare, also escalated its brutality. The war was no longer just about the courage and skill of the soldiers on the battlefield. It was about who had the most advanced weapons. The war took a sinister turn as technology met the darkest corners of human conflict. The impact of the war was not confined to the battlefield. Let's explore the repercussions. As the smoke cleared and the echoes of gunfire faded, the grim reality of war revealed itself in the aftermath of battles. Places like the Somme stand as testament to the sheer scale and destructive power of World War I. The Battle of the Somme, in particular, was one of the deadliest conflicts of the war, resulting in over 1 million casualties. The soldiers who survived were left with more than just physical scars. The psychological toll was immense. Imagine the mental strain of living on high alert, never knowing if the next moment would be your last. The constant bombardment, the loss of comrades, the harsh living conditions, all these factors contributed to what we now understand as shell shock, known today as post-traumatic stress disorder. The war was not only fought on the fields of battle, but also in the minds of these brave men, a battle that for many lasted long after the guns fell silent. But the effects of this devastating war didn't stop at the trenches. The ripples of conflict spread far and wide, stretching beyond the borders of the battlefields and into the homes of civilians. Life on the home front was irrevocably altered. The war demanded resources, manpower, and complete societal mobilization. Women stepped into roles previously held by men, children worked in factories, and entire communities lived under the shadow of fear and uncertainty. Economic and social upheaval was the order of the day. The war led to food shortages, causing governments to introduce rationing. It also saw the rise of war propaganda as nations sought to maintain morale and justify their actions. The war, in essence, invaded every aspect of civilian life, turning towns into makeshift hospitals and schools into military training grounds. The echoes of the battlefield reverberated through cities and villages alike. The aftermath of World War I was a web of interconnected consequences, affecting both soldiers on the front lines and civilians at home. Its legacy is one of profound change and enduring lessons, a stark reminder of the far-reaching impacts of global conflict. The story of World War I is far from over. Let's take a sneak peek into what lies ahead. As we delve deeper into this gripping saga, we'll witness a pivotal turning point: the United States entering the war. A nation initially resolute in its neutrality, the United States' entry marked a significant shift in the balance of power. We'll explore the reasons behind this decision and the profound impact it had on the course of the conflict. But the theatrics of World War I didn't stop at the battlefield. Ripples of revolution were beginning to stir in the East. The Russian Revolution, a cataclysmic event that sent shock waves through the global political landscape, deserves our attention. We'll delve into the causes, the chaos, and the aftermath of this seismic shift. We'll explore how it influenced the war and the world at large. Finally, we'll arrive at the Treaty of Versailles. We'll examine this controversial peace agreement that, while intending to establish a lasting peace, instead sowed the seeds for another devastating global conflict. We'll explore the key decisions made, the nations involved, their motivations, and the consequences of their actions. Each upcoming episode promises to take you on a journey through time, as we unravel the complexities of World War I. We'll continue to honor the sacrifices, understand the strategies, and learn from the lessons of this monumental period in our shared history. So buckle up, history enthusiasts. The ride is about to get even more exhilarating. The story of World War I, with all its twists and turns, its triumphs and tragedies, is waiting to be told. Join us next time as we continue this historical journey. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, because history is far more than just the past.